I want to thank everyone for coming tonight on June 19th, and I'd like to call our council meeting to order. For our invocation, Councilman Villarreal.
Dear Lord, thank you for all the blessings you give us. We pray for all the less fortunate. Be with this council as we try to make the decision best for all the people of Hollywood Park. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, we'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. I'll make a note that all council members are here. And if we have any presentations scheduled for tonight, Janice? Okay, we'll go on into the announcements. And for the fire report, Chief Putrico.
I do not know what the cost is going to be to repair that. We're waiting to get it into the shop to have it looked at. So that's something that's going to be coming down the road in the next couple of weeks. And I guess we'll jump that hurdle when we find out how much it's going to cost to repair. Yeah, it comes out of my paycheck. Yeah. So it's the hydraulics on the ladder are not holding. It's dropping about a foot a minute. So.
I take it the surprise inspection the day before didn't include an inspection of the ladder.
No, that's not part of that. So.
Good.
And that's all I have.
All right.
No questions? No.
Questions or comments?
Hey, Chief. 523 Hollywood Park, 25 minutes. Is that something critical? Something?
One of our calls?
Yeah, 523. Page 2. Is that a misprint or is that right?
That's 523 is the date, sir?
Yes, sir.
Second from the bottom on page 2 of 3.
Yeah, that's, I'll have to look into that, but I guarantee it didn't take us 25 minutes to get there.
Thought so.
So we'll figure it out. On occasion, the CAD will pull up, instead of, like if it's 3 in the afternoon, it may pull up at 3 in the morning time or something, which throws everything off. Normally I catch those, but yeah, I promise you it didn't take us 25 minutes to get to Rio de Mata, for sure. So, thank you, though.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. If no other questions for Chief Putrico, we have the police report, please.
Hello, everybody. Tonight you got the lieutenant. You don't have the chief. He's on vacation this week, and he'll be back on Friday if you need to speak to him directly. Okay, we We completed the qualifications with the new sidearms, handguns that the city provided us, and everybody qualified. Our task force officer, DEA, came and presented an award for his performance at the DEA. And on another note, in my last life, when I supervised task force officers at DEA, and I'll let you know they're the life's blood of that organization. They are the ones that actually they bring a disproportionate number of the cases that the DEA takes credit for, and that's because of their experience in the cities in which they're working in. Most all of them are local officers. Most of your DEA agents are from Indianapolis, New York, Seattle. They don't know the environment. And I take note, they don't give these awards out lightly. And our task force officer has been getting nothing but rave reviews from the supervisors over there. And I know they've even told me how happy they are with him. On another note, the Rebel Church, which went into the shopping center down here, the one where Starbucks is at, and they took over one of the empty businesses there. They came and provided breakfast to all the police officers one day here a couple of weeks ago, as well as the Texas Roadhouse came in 2 or 3 weeks ago and provided lunch. They brought in ribs for all the officers. So our businesses are taking care of us. Taking care of us. As far as the stats for the month, I mean, they speak for themselves. If there's any one that you want me to speak to, I will. I won't bore you by going over them individually. And on the last note, now this will be this month, on Sunday night, Monday morning, we had a rash of car burglaries in the neighborhoods. And we're still getting calls. People are just now realizing that their cars were entered and things were taken. And they were all vehicles that were unlocked. I know Chief Pritchard has put things out on social media about locking vehicles, and more importantly, not leaving your laptops and your purses and your credit cards and your iPads, because those were left in these vehicles. And the standard things people say to us when we talk to them is, but this is Hollywood Park. And we're trying to convince them that, yes, it is, and it's a safe community generally, but we cannot leave our laptops, our iPads, and our purses and our credit cards in the cars. I'm really happy they left them unlocked, because otherwise they'd have busted the windows out. I mean, that's sad to say, but I'd rather them at least not damage their vehicles. And I'd rather they not leave their valuables in their cars. But anyway, that's something that we see a spike in, and it's about every 6 months. We'll get a group in here, and then we won't have any for 3 or 4 months. But summertime, weather's good, and they're out prowling around our neighborhoods. Of course, we're trying to spot them, but we'll do our best to solve these cases.
What area of town was that in, do you know?
Well, we had 2 on Mecca. The west end of town, though, most of them were over on Sky 4's 500 block. El Portal on the west end. That's basically where they were. Most on the west, but they did hit 2 vehicles here on Mecca.
Thank you. Any comments from any other council people? All right. Well, thank you. Do we have the Public Works report, please?
All right. Well, this month, I apologize for not getting my data into the packet for y'all. I'm still learning how to do that part of this job, so bear with me a little bit. But for code compliance, we had a total of 31 cases this month. 22 of them were closed. 9 of them are still pending, and 6 of them were given a second notice. Don't know exactly what those were. Trying to get the details worked out with my code compliance guy on how we're going to present this. But I would say the majority of them were trees and sign violations. And what we're doing on the tree violations is, even though we're in the non-tree trimming, we give them a violation if their trees are 14 feet or below over the street, because it affects the fire trucks and the big trucks getting in here, damage branches, and then we start getting the oak wilt will spread that way. So they're giving a special exception to trim those branches that are in violation. You know, we're not trying to get anybody in trouble. We just want people to get compliant. That's the easiest thing. So that's it. At the Voight Center, we had a total of 14 events this month. We had 8 that were community events, 3 residents paid, and 3 non-residents paid. The pool is up and running good. Aquatica's doing an awesome job. Lifeguards are really coming along. The new gate has been installed. I think it's working really, really well. If I can keep people from blocking it open, then we'll really be doing good. Everything here at the city is good. Had a real neat event most people didn't know about last Friday. The president of Tiger Sanitation actually came out and was a helper on one of the trucks here in Hollywood Park, working with his guys, which is pretty impressive. I talked to Lee afterwards. He said, man, he said 3 hours, you could have poured me in a cup. He said, I was done. These guys work hard. So that's the kind of company we've got with sanitation. Everything else in the city, that's pretty much all I've got. You know, we've had 1 swim meet. We've got another one this coming weekend, and hopefully that'll be through with the big crowds down there until the 4th of July. Any questions?
All right, financial report, please. Financial activity.
We are at 66.67% of the fiscal year. Our revenue is currently listed at 87.41%. And as you know, the ad valorem comes in early through the year, and so that's why we've got most of that coming in. And of course, the Voight Center and the pool have exceeded the budgeted revenue along with the mixed beverage. So that brings us to that 87.41. I believe the ad valorem is trickling in. It continues to trickle in, but we haven't seen that huge hit like we did in the beginning of the year. And our expenditures are currently at 59.41%.
I'd like to thank you for that and for helping us get the information, the rather cryptic information we got from the state comptroller with the itemized tax revenue by Hollywood Park business. And this information came in a format that would be about 240 pages if we were to try to copy it, but it's helpful, and I'm sure we'll figure out a way to request it in a format that's a little more palatable. But thank you for that.
May I add to Anita's financial report, Mayor? I just wanted to announce that we did get a response from BCAD on June 8th saying that they gave us our latest preliminary totals that morning for the effective tax rate assumptions for all the taxing units. And so they stated that as of that day, they had received 104,200 protests, but have resolved 27,900 of them so far. And that's not, of course, not just from Hollywood Park, but they still had approximately about 1/3 of the CAD roll value under active appeal at that time. But they did say that, of course, as time draws near towards certification, that will dwindle down significantly. But they wanted to let us know that for planning purposes, they expect to approve the taxing records on Friday, July 20th, and they plan to have their certified complete reports to us by Monday, July 23rd. So that'll help us with our budget as we're moving forward towards that.
Thank you. Would you like to follow that up with your report?
Yes,
Jess?
I just wanted to announce to everyone, I know it's been a long time coming, and I'd like to thank Kelly for really helping me out with this. The company that originally installed the sound system in here in the council chambers has gone through approximately 5 owners. and we've been trying to work diligently with each owner each time they bought out that company to get everything fixed here and in the Voight Center. So I can now finally announce that we are streaming live right now, and if a resident would go to our Hollywood Park page, it links it automatically to YouTube, okay? It links it to our YouTube account, and you will see it live now, and once this meeting is over, it automatically stays there for the record. So you have a recording that stays on there, and it's streaming live now. So that's been working very well for the past 3 meetings we've had. We've had a Deer Committee meeting, we've had an EDC meeting, and it's done very well. So I'm hoping tonight that we go off without a hitch on that also. I'd also like to announce that our business of the month for June was the Texas Weight Loss Clinic, and it's over in the Gallery Oak Shopping Center. And we have them, of course, on the marquee and our Facebook page and so forth. So congratulations to Texas Weight Loss Center for being our business of the month. I'd also like to, which I've never announced before during council session, but would like to start reporting on this because it's a very important part of our revenue that we bring into the city, and that's our court activity for the month. And if you'll notice on page 10, our court activity for the month of May for 2018, we had 229 cases filed or violations. And if you'll notice, in May of 2017, it was 125. So court has significantly grown in just a year, almost doubled, but not quite. And if you'll look on page 11, it does say that the total amount of permits that we did for the month of May 2018 were 110. Last year at this time, there were 64. So it's been quite a steady and gradual increase in court and building permits, hence the reason that I asked for extra help from the council during the last budget session. So thank you for approving that. And on that note, I'd like to take the time to introduce our two new clerks in administration. They will be doing both court and building. They're training for both building permits or all kinds of permits and court, so they are interchangeable and are cross-training right now. Jessica's doing a fabulous job with them. I'm going to brag on them a little bit because I literally went through 200 applicants. I counted them the other day, a little over 200, to find these two wonderful ladies. And I'm so happy that they are on board on our team. And usually I would wait until the 6-month probationary period, but I'm going to tell you they both are very outstanding. So I would like to introduce, ladies, if you'll stand, Megan Barth, who we are so happy to have here, and Louisa Barbier. Thank you, ladies, for being here. And that's all I have, Mayor.
I'm so glad you're both here, ladies. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Hollywood Park. Any questions or comments from the council? All right. Yes. Thank you for coming. All right. Any report from the city attorney?
Not yet. I'm waiting.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to share with you all. Janice found some information. We got some information from the state of Texas and Public Transportation Department regarding a refund that we are entitled to going back to 1985 under the leadership of Ruby Weinholz. Any of you guys remember Ruby Weinholz? Yes, we paid $9,000 into a fund to help with Texas, with the interchange ramps and the construction, and it wasn't all spent. So we're going to get a portion of that $9,000 back in the next 60 days. So I thought that was kind of a nice surprise out of nowhere. And I've had a real productive meeting with Tom Lanford with Clear Channel Outdoor, and progress looks very promising for an opportunity to convert an existing static billboard to a digital billboard that's right here at Mecca and 281, and hope to have something to be considered for an agenda item next month. We just met yesterday. And the other thing was just that I've spent the last month here at City Hall and embedded myself trying to learn how things work and be a part of things. And some of you are kind of annoyed by my presence, but I think it's been very helpful and insightful. And I'm so impressed and honored to be with a group of people that are as bright and talented and hardworking as they are. And we've got a lot to be proud of. And I'm very proud of all of them. So that's it. Let's see. Item would be the consent agenda. Would anyone like to move to approve the minutes of the council meeting on the 15th of May? And the special council meeting, the regular council meeting, and the financial documents of 5/31.
I so move.
Do we have a second? I second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. All right, it's our opportunity for citizen participation. And Luann, you're first on the list. Luann Montgomery. We have a winner. Luann, come on down. Well,
She's talking about.
the deer budget. Well,
So go back and sit down.
you can sit down. She's telling you to go back and sit down. You can share your thoughts. Okay. Sure. That'd be fine. All right. Our next person up is Linda Phillips.
Well, I would like to speak also just to the executive session issue. Do you want me to speak now?
Sure. Sure.
And I think I'm going to read both. I can do this in 3 minutes because Stephen is not feeling real well. Miss Alameda working with city leaders. Last year I had the opportunity to attend the informal budget workshop meetings. There were a lot of questions and discussion at these meetings, as there should be. But the tone of questioning by one of the councilpersons was adversarial, rude, and totally unnecessary. There are ways of asking questions, and there are ways of asking questions. Miss Alameda calmly and professionally stepped in to answer the questions, diffused the situation, and could see that what the councilperson was asking was answered and taken care of. That finance person, a few weeks later, quit, in large part due to not wanting to deal with people like that. Time and time again, in the 15 years I've lived here, I've seen Miss Alameda deal in the most professional way with all the residents, city staff, and the different councils, half of which change every year. We would be hard-pressed to find anyone else to wear all the hats she does daily and do so in the totally professional manner she does. So I ask you to think long and hard about changing her employment status. Mrs. Stevens, if you emerge from the executive session tonight having just terminated Miss Alameda, then you would have shown me that, 1, you run the city with emotion and not cognition, and that will be the cause of your demise. 2, you allow your petty human weaknesses of the envy and pride to guide you in your deliberations concerning the administration of my city. You proceed with 3, you proceed with your personal agenda that is contrary to the will of the people of this city. 4, you did not manifest honorable
Thank you. Sudi, would you like to come up?
Oh, I forgot to tell you, Sudi Sarter, 505 Elport down. Concerned about some safety issues down at the pool. Went down on Sunday, June 2nd, with my family, my 3 grandkids, which are 5 years and under. There was nobody at the desk when we went there to sign in. And the majority of the 2 hours we were there was nobody at the desk watching who was coming and going, who was paying, who wasn't paying. There was 2 guards up in the 2 chairs, and I stopped counting at 100 people. There's probably 20 or 30 more than that within the pool fences. There were others outside of the pool fence that I don't know if they were using the pool or what they were doing. I just feel like this is an emergency waiting to happen. In addition to, I had my grandkids down there, 2 of which were in the baby pool, 18-month and a 3.5-year-old. And there were 2 or 3 teenagers over 12 years old in the baby pool with the big water cannons. The guards said nothing about it. We left soon after that. We had to take our kids out of there. There again, big problem. The kids are down there with hard rubber balls playing in the pool, not beach bars, hard rubber balls. If they hit somebody in the head, very likely, probably not knock them out, but at least knock them off their feet. Just doesn't seem to be a safe thing to do. I just don't believe, and I don't believe. I think we need to set some kind of limit on the age of the kids in the baby pool. And finally, when we left, because there's no trash cans in the pool area, we had to drag all our trash outside of the pool area and put it on the ground because all the trash cans were full and overflowing to the ground. I don't know whose responsibility it is to change the trash cans, but they were way past overdue being changed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, Weege Henderson.
I'm Weege Henderson. I live at 303 Rue de Mata. I've been a long-time resident of Hollywood Park for 41 years. I am a law-abiding citizen, and I have 2 things that I need to speak about. And one of them is with code compliance. And I got a notice that there was one branch, and I had to go to City Hall, they told me, to get a permit. Well, I found out that it wasn't an oak tree. I didn't need a permit. And I called the code compliance gentleman to ask, what branch he was talking about. Well, a week went by and he never called me back. So then I went to the code compliance meeting. The doors were locked. There was one other gentleman and me at the code compliance. We sat out there for a half an hour in 100-degree temperature, and with the mosquitoes. They have a mosquito problem down there that is unreal. And finally, I was disgusted, came home, and I called you on the phone. And I did get a call the next day from Efren. He apologized. He was sorry. I'm sorry. And so I ended up, because I couldn't get a hold of him for a week, I ended up calling people in to trim the tree. It was not an oak tree. I didn't need a permit, and I'm sorry that he didn't know the difference between an oak tree and a regular tree. And another question that I want to ask you, Kelly, is what happens when people get a notice on their door and they don't comply? And I know that I saw you one time on Canyon Oaks, and you and 2 of your gentlemen, they were trimming the trees because they were hanging over the street. What happens? Do they, obviously they contact the owner, but if the owner won't pay, do they put a lien on the property? And I asked one of the council members, and nobody seemed to know.
I'll be glad to speak with you after this, because I don't believe I can speak on this at this time. Am I correct? That's right.
Okay. And my second question is, as I said, I've been a member, lived in Hollywood Park for 41 years. I've had many, many, many occasions to work with Janice. She is one of the finest people that I know. And she's a professional. She stays on top of things. She gets on the ball. She's been with us for 14 years. She is the glue that holds this city together. And I know that Kurt Francis was the mayor in Hill Country Village for 12 years. He had to deal with 2 lawsuits. And ironically, I knew both of the people that sued, and it wasn't a pretty thing. And and I ask you all, please, to keep Janice on, because she is so wonderful for our city. She has her heart in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. I do too. And I hope every one of your council people will agree also.
That concludes our citizen participation segment. And we'll go into old business now. We can take action and discuss, approve the revised 2018 budget calendar. Is that the first 2 meetings? We revised the dates of the first 2 meetings, the ones in red. Are there any last-minute changes that would require any of you guys to change anything?
Thanks for making that change.
No problem.
Yeah.
So
Thank
we'll-
you for the changes.
Okay, thank you.
Would someone like to make a?
So this is the real deal right here, right?
Yes. Would someone like to move to approve that?
Want to let everybody know the dates? Changes? Yeah. Sure. Let's make them.
Sure. The first meeting will be on July 2nd, and I think that's a Monday at 6 o'clock. And then the following Monday, also at 6 o'clock. And then the Wednesday following our council meeting on the 18th, we'll have another at 6 o'clock. And if we are still in need of budget workshops, we'll have another the following Wednesday, the 24th, at 6 o'clock. And then we'll have our hearings and the effective rollback rates. We'll publish the notice of public hearings. And that looks like it through the month of August until the council meeting. And then everything else will follow its normal schedule.
Just to interject, Mayor, just to announce also that, the council will need to be present also on August 27th, because that will be our first public hearing to announce what the council has decided, so residents can come and speak their voice, and also on September 4th. That'll be the second public hearing.
Thank you, James. All right. And we'll announce the final tax rate. Gotcha. Thank you.
So we get those dates rather than just the day after this and the day after. Sure.
July 2nd, July 9th, July 18th, July 24th are going to be the budget workshop evenings.
And what we'll do, Sudie, is we'll go ahead and post that on the website tomorrow also, so that you'll have it on there.
Anyone like to move to approve the budget calendar?
I move that we approve the 2018 budget calendar.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. All right. At 7:37, we're going to convene into an executive closed session. As authorized by Section 551071 of the Texas Government Code, to consult with the city attorney concerning contemplated litigation regarding a ban on solicitors. We'll be right back.
You're right, they're both, I think there's people in that. Well, they did clean up, there were all kinds of grass growing in the street, they didn't clean that mess up. Honestly, there's a shop that's falling down. I know. This was a state issue, brother and sister. When mom finally died, and she died in the house about 6 years ago. And finally settled apparently. The son has autism and he's letting his daughter, who I hate to say it, but is a airhead mom. I met her, and she's lovely. And she's renting the place from her dad. And it's anyway.
Yes, so where are you going?
We're going to our girls first.
Good. Where? In Colorado?
How are you doing?
Well, it's a Sunday, I don't want to bother you. And it would have been okay if you
for your tissue box, because he's got this, come back up with this,
How come your coffee all the time? You have a bad disease? I wonder if that's
yeah, we know about it, but it's been dormant for the last 7 years. It's come up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they just came back from Mexico.
Yeah, we need to limit that.
Yeah, we know. We took them to the airport. I am not being, that trip went okay. Well, you were really taking the airport front of the ring. I ran inside, double parked. I ran inside, got to the wheelchair, and they had work, well, no, they got on okay. They had outside of that initial airport,
Walked in, signed in, I mean, I could have just as easily wrote
wheelchairs like
10, walked
all
home
at
with
every
my
stop.
6 people and not paid anything. But we did have a street travel. I've got a pass. The road was paid for?
Yeah,
Why do you say I'm not rookie?
No. They flew.
Because now you got to keep up with the 3, 6 things
They
instead of one thing.
flew to the Philippines and then they took a boat.
But then you got to keep up.
I cruised to Osaka and then they flew home to Osaka. They took with them this huge because
There's no reason they should get that.
so he's going to chew mints the whole way. But he didn't even oh my gosh, I drove away that morning. I thought, God, please. But apparently had a great trip. Yes.
Well, and see, there again, you've got people that are working down there. It does say it's
Thailand and Mauritius, Taiwan.
Okay, they're going to the Philippines.
Well, do we have this information anywhere to where I just give them a list of who has a pass, the names are? In other words, the people down there have a list of what the number of passes are, who's the name related to, and they
They know, and fleet. You need to listen carefully. In American money, just
But to make you feel any better, this has been ongoing. We've lived here 7 or 8 years. This has been an issue. I should have said, it's not a new deal. We're trying to get people to get around because they work there. I just couldn't believe how many people were there. And there was not once, but I just proved there not once that I was going to keep running corrected about anything. And I'm like,
I very calmly, I went into, I said, and I went into what I call my mission
not
of
the one that's people are. They're fat, they're down.
Get yourself one of these bottles and you've got
Right. Yeah, the beach crowds are bad enough. You've got a big crowd.
and just your passport, and your money, and your credit cards, and your credit card for you, your bank, right? But if you could have seen the huge, if you could have seen,
Yeah, they're just very strategic.
if they did carry it, I need to tell you, please, Lord. I know, but there's nothing like that. Nothing like wine, and he can smoke it. Oh, I would be. Well, we didn't want to. for SARS to work out some issue with the drainage. They want to go on Danella to Meadowbrook. Yes, but SARS is taking a very time on some this drainage issue. You do the process yourself, and then you just go charge.
Oh my God, you get that?
We gotta keep our word. We're paying I don't think they're Come in one day and leave the next.
Oh, they were horrible. They were horrible.
But once they see them, yeah, they can't do anything about it. What do you look like? Bring out the golf cart and one
Thank you all. We actually got a lot accomplished in there, and with the return of Councilman Villarreal, the council meeting will resume at 8:19 p.m. And I guess I don't have a copy of the agenda that has the motion. Excuse me.
Mayor, the agenda item would probably just consideration of the proposed ordinance submitted by the city attorney to regulate solicitors and peddlers in the city.
Okay, so we can word it, take action concerning the revision of the town's ban on solicitors. And any citizens' comments or discussion beyond what we've had? Anyone like to make a move to follow that?
Do you want to tell them what's going on? Do they know what's going on?
I do not. Mr. Brennan, would you be comfortable summarizing what the outcome of our executive session was? Just now, I think you might have a better handle on the legalese.
The city or the town of Hollywood Park has an ordinance which basically prohibits peddlers and solicitors from going door to door to sell goods and products and services. The city has received I guess you'd say a request or demand from a law firm asserting that kind of blanket ban is unconstitutional. And I've reviewed the information that has been submitted and the cases that are on that subject, and I agree with him. The total ban that you have is not constitutional. So I've developed an ordinance based on a prototype that TML, the Texas Municipal League, has worked on for several years, which in essence regulates peddlers and solicitors who go door to door in a very stringent way. It includes a pretty high fee to get a peddler's license that requires criminal background checks, requires lots of information about the applicant, and in order to protect the citizens, there's still 3 ways that citizens can avoid having peddlers and solicitors door to door. First, you don't have to, if somebody comes to your house uninvited, don't let them in, don't open your door. That's kind of basic. You could always do that. Secondly, you can have a sign that says no solicitors, no trespassing for the purpose of selling or whatever you want to do. That's also been available to people for years. This ordinance also provides a new protective measure called the no visit list, and it's similar to the no call list, if you remember that from a few years ago when FTC promulgated a no call list so that you could get on it to keep from getting all these sales calls that people were getting. And this no visit list is similar to that, and the city will establish a no visitor list and invite citizens who don't want solicitors and peddlers to come to their door to sign up for the no visitors list. And it will be illegal for a peddler or solicitor to come to your house and ring your doorbell if your house is on the no visit list, or if you have a sign that says I don't want any solicitors here. So the goal of the ordinance is to protect the citizens from unwanted or unwelcome peddlers and solicitors coming to your house at a time when, under the Constitution, in the federal Constitution, the right of commercial free speech does have to be recognized and followed. This ordinance pretty tightly and it makes it difficult for peddlers and solicitors to be here. It doesn't prohibit canvassers, and I try to make that clear. A canvasser is a person who goes door to door for religious or political reasons. And those people can still do that under this ordinance, although if you don't want canvassers, which is political or charitable people coming door to door, you can get on the put that on the no visit list too, and you won't have these either. And under the ordinance, if some peddler or solicitor comes to your door and you're on the no visit list, or you have your sign, you call the police and they're subject to arrest right there, just like they probably are right now. But the ordinance you have right now is too broad. This one is more precise and directly to the point.
As disappointing as it is to not be able to restrict access to your home, I appreciate your efforts to try to make it less possible. And would anyone like to move to go with the ordinance as presented?
I make a motion that we approve the ordinance that Mr. Brennan has just outlined for the residents of Hollywood Park.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, now we'll go to take possible action to appoint Tom Sims to the Economic Development Board. Hey, Tom. Any citizen comments? All right, any discussion among the council? All right, would someone like to move?
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Tom Sims to the Economic Development Board.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 3, discuss, take possible action to approve a Deer Committee vote to move $3,000 from line item 590-479 Deer Management Supplies to line item 590-101 Deer Manager Salary for management of deer predators. Any comments? Yes. Thank you, Lan. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's been a while. Luann Montgomery, 304 El Portal, and Deer Committee Chairman. I just wanted to clarify that this reallocation from the line item 590.479 Deer Management Supplies going to 590.101 Deer Manager Salary in the amount of $3,000 is to assist and to help Randy Tomasini help control our predators that we've got a little bit higher count on, quite a bit higher count on the coyote population this year. And as Deer Committee, we are responsible for the deer population, whether it be done by a deer predator or cars or what have you. We're trying to maintain a particular size population in our community, and so this will certainly help in taking care of those expenses and that time, because there's a lot of time that he's putting in towards that. I also want to say too that in being deer manager and or working with the deer manager and being the Deer Committee chairman, I don't think our Deer Committee would be where we are right now if it wasn't for Miss Janice, because Miss Janice is my rock. And I can't imagine this community being without her. So I hope that everybody will make the right decision where that's concerned too. Thank you.
Thank you, Luann. Any discussion? Would someone like to move?
Wait. I just want to say that I'm on the Deer Committee, and we deemed it, the timing of this, we deemed it critical that this be addressed now because the fawns are getting ready to drop and the coyote problem has gotten so bad. So this was our interim solution. It didn't have to cost us anything more to be able to compensate Randy for doing the extra work. And so I totally support it. I think it's a good idea.
I'd like to make a move.
I'd like to make a motion that we, or take action to approve the Deer Committee's vote to move $3,000 from line item 590.479 to line item 590 to 101, Deer Manager salary for the management of deer predators.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right. We're going to table the item number 4 on the Donnell Street project. We had a meeting, Oscar and I, with the folks from CEC, and they've already responded, and we'll have information to share at the next meeting to going forward on the next phase of the street project. And I'm excited to have that to share. And I think, that's all I have to add about that. The next item was to discuss set a guest limit for pool pass purchasers. That's a mouthful. To prevent pool staffing challenges. This came up because a pool pass purchaser recently had a middle school graduation party where she had invited 150 guests for $3 a guest and was charging each of them $5 for a drink and a hot dog, and causing quite of a staffing nightmare. And so we couldn't get sufficient lifeguards quickly enough, and so I think Kelly was limiting the number that could come in at a time. And I was hoping that the council could come to agreement on a number, even 10 or 14, so a total of 20 if they have the 6 with the pass, or something that's a manageable yet worthwhile number if extended family or visiting or anything. Yes, Kelly, would you like to add anything?
Yes, I spoke with Aquatica, and their recommendations are, since we have 3 lifeguards, that we try to keep. They try to keep the number of people in the water around 100 or less. So, we had an incident where we had excessive amounts of people there. That was actually the day Ms. Sauter was talking about. It was crazy. My recommendation is, you get 6 people on your family pass, and you can buy additional members on your family pass. But my recommendation would be probably 6 to 10 guests on a family pass.
So 12 to 14 total?
Something around there. That was my recommendation. Y'all.
Excuse me, Kelly. So we had a resident throwing a pool party?
It was.
And she was charging?
It was a resident, and I don't know who it was. They invited 150 8th graders to go swimming as their guests. They were going to bring them in. She was planning on bringing them in as a guest to the pool for $3 a piece.
And she was charging $5.
And she was charging $5, and that provided a hot dog and drinks also.
Well, at that point, it's a business, though, isn't it?
I wasn't even in town whenever this came up. I was actually out of town, and I made the call at that time. And she understood whenever I explained it to her. Look, you can only bring 30 of your people in the pool at any given time, because I can't limit my citizens from being able to go swimming.
Have we ever had that happen before? We have guests charge? If they're guest pass, they're getting in for free on a guest pass. So how are they going to charge?
A guest pays $3. A guest is $3.
Okay, $3, right.
Right.
But they can turn around and then charge them $5?
I have no idea. My suggestion is that we put a limit on it so people don't bring excessive guests in there.
I agree.
So the family pass gets 6 in anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
So what if we limit it to 5 extra guests? Sudi, what do you think?
I'm not supposed to speak right here, but can't you reserve the pool for a party?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
That's what they should have to do.
Well,
can you ask them how many they plan on having when they reserve for a party, or on this sort of event. I mean,
So they make arrangements, if you reserve the pool for a party, you make arrangements with Aquatica to supply your lifeguards.
right.
And it's after hours, right?
It's usually after hours. If you're a guest, or if you come to the pool and you're not a guest of a member, then it's $10.
But I think what you're saying is people have found a loophole where
They
if
can-
I want to have a party, but I don't want to pay for all the fees and everything as a pool contract,
Correct.
I can invite as many guests as I want to, and I come out a whole lot cheaper.
So,
right?
if you want to bring more than whatever number y'all set, then it's going to be $10 a person for the additional ones.
But we weren't aware that she was having the party.
Was not aware of it.
Okay.
What if we limit it to 6?
Same 6 and 6, or 12 total? That'd be 12 total? It seems real fair to me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think setting it at 12, I don't think setting a number like that is going to work, because you can buy a family pass, and then you can buy additional members on your family pass. So if I had a family of 10 people, I could buy my family pass, and then I could add 4 additional people at $30 a piece.
Yeah, but we're just
So-
saying how many.
So you
how
say,
you're-
you can
the-
say you can
the
have
number of
X
guests
number
you're bringing.
over, X number of guests on a family pass per day.
What we're saying is probably for each pass, for one family pass, you're only
Total of.
limited to 6 total guests, or 8, or whatever we decide on.
And it can be, even if you have just an individual pass, you can only bring 6 guests at a time.
I think you just set the number of guests on top of the family pass would be fair.
It could be a family of 3, or it could be a family of 8, and if you set that.
But the problem is, how will we know it's a family pass? Because now we're giving out those bracelets,
Wristbands.
and it doesn't say if it's a family pass or not.
So basically what it is you can bring X number of guests. If we're gonna do silicone bracelets and eliminate the cardboard pass. So if you have a bracelet and you're a member, you get to go in. If you don't have a bracelet, then you have to pay a fee.
So if you have a bracelet, how many guests are you allowed to have with you?
That's what council needs to decide.
So, but that, I mean, we're increasing it exponentially. If you say there's 6 in a family, everyone has their own bracelet, and then each person can bring 6 more, then you've got,
It would just be the pass holder, the family, that would be.
Correct, and all the guests have to sign in, so they have to put down who they're a guest of.
The guest won't have to have a wrist.
No, the guest has to pay a fee.
Yeah, but my question is, how do we know if they are a family pass holder? Because everybody right now has a bracelet.
There's no perfect solution. We have to be able to trust and have a little bit of, no.
Why isn't there just a number that, call it 30 people, and it's then considered a party, and you have to go through, you have to
Reserve it.
Otherwise, because the guests and all that kind of stuff, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Just because, if our family's here and we got family coming down, then we might be 10 and we'll pay the extra. But we're there, and that should be fine. But if I'm hosting a party with 30 people, then I have to go through I can't just walk in.
The process.
But if I can't just walk in with 30 people.
or
You
150.
just cap it if it's 30 or more, and put it on the rules. If you got 30 or more,
I would-
party with 30 or more.
That makes-
The other thing is we've got probably, we're all here, and we'll have a little, I don't know, there'll be 15 of us, all family members here, that will have a little birthday party for one of our kids. But if you're doing 150, then it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
It was an odd situation. I think a lot of friends could have a lot of guests or a lot of members might have 2 friends. And so if we allowed each person on a pool pass to bring 2 people, then that's a total of 18 people that could possibly come with a family pass, if that's something we can work with. And then the wristband people could each bring 2 guests, if that's a number we can work with for now, because we're about a third of the way through the swim season. If that could work,
I think that could work just fine.
Okay. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Is there an occupancy level? There's nothing on the NFPA that goes over full occupancy level.
See, they were supposed to have the wine party, the wine club party on the 1st of June at the Boyd center.
Mhm.
Well, they got bounced because of someone was having this teen party for all these kids, and they moved the wine party over by the pool. So
Yeah.
somebody had to know that somebody was having a party in there with a bunch of kids.
I think it might have been a different party.
Pardon?
It might have been a different party. It might have been that was a different.
Yeah.
No, it was the same day. It was the same night.
Okay. I know Holly had worked out the arrangement to move from indoors to the patio sometime prior, but I don't know any more details than that. But if for the purposes of this issue, if we talk about each wristband being able to bring 2 additional guests, is that a working total? Are we all right with that?
So what are we doing? Make a motion that we limit set a guest limit for pool pass purchases to 2 per what?
Wristband?
2 per wristband holder.
Anybody want to second that?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to, it is 8:40. We're going to convene into an executive session as authorized by Section 551071 of the Texas Government Code to consult.
Mayor, as my right, I'd like to go ahead and have this executive session as in open session, as authorized by the Open Meetings Act, please.
All right, you certainly may. All right. Now, all right. The purpose of the executive session was to discuss issues that took place in first and second quarter prior to May 15th. And I think it's open to council discussion. And this is a public hearing versus the executive session. I would like to speak out.
Shall I go ahead?
Please.
Okay. I am the one who asked for the executive session. I did not ask for it to get Janice terminated. As you know, or I assume you know, the only time we can talk about a topic is when we're all together legally because of the Open Meetings Act. So that is the purpose of having what is going to be the purpose of having the executive session. Not to fire Janice, but to be able to discuss something that happened back in May. March, April, May. Okay, so in early May, I started getting calls from staff that insurance had lapsed. Okay, there was the PD was affected. They by AFLAC. I have got a notice to one of the officers. We wanted to let you know that we're no longer receiving premium payments from the town of Hollywood Park for your coverage. So I got a call from an employee saying we don't have coverage. And this was at a time when Chris Fales was kind of checked out because it was right when we were getting ready to switch over to a new mayor. And so the employee went and talked to Janice. And well, first I think went and talked to Anita and said, what's going on? So my man doesn't have insurance. And I think Anita indicated that the bill was on Janice's desk. So I believe he went and he talked to Janice, and Janice said it's taken care of. So 2 days later, I get another call, and this time another employee did not have dental insurance. She was notified. She had gone to the dentist in April and was notified, like on May 3, that she didn't have insurance. The insurance had not been paid. So the employee I was talking to then, I believe, he asked some other employees, will you see if you have coverage? Ours is not, we don't have it. And this other employees confirmed, I don't have dental either. Our dental has not been paid. So this was the crux of what went on. And I don't know, I mean, I've talked to you a little bit. I have not been able to talk to anybody else because of the Open Meetings Act. And so as it turns out, there were 4 insurance accounts affected: Aetna, MetLife, Aflac, and Guardian. And they were not paid in March, and they were not paid in April. And when this came to light, I feel like the employees should have been notified immediately. When you found out that they did not have coverage, I think they should have been notified. And they were not notified. And according to the finance girl, Anita, the bills did not come to her until the Aetna bill came to her on May 3, which was the day after I was originally called that there was no insurance. And Anita also got a call from the credit card fraud company that day that someone had tried to pay $19,000 on the credit card, and it alerted the fraud department, and so they put a stop on the card. So that was very concerning to me, that anyone could, put that much or try to put that much money on a credit card. Eventually it was reported to Chris Fales, and Chris Fales and Chris Murphy came over and I think sat with Janice, and then we got what I considered a very whitewashed letter, which is all you guys got. I mean, as far as I know, Delane, here, I made you a copy because you don't have it. We got a very whitewashed letter from Chris Fales saying what purportedly had happened. And I did not, had I not known what had actually gone on, I would have looked at what he sent out and thought nothing went on. And so for that reason, I wanted to have an executive session to let the council know what went on. Not to terminate Janice, but to let them know this is what's gone on, because we're the governing body up here. And if things like this don't come to our attention, then what if something comes up and they're sitting here like bumps on a log and don't know what went on? So, there's no reason for everybody to get all freaked out because we have something on the agenda, saying that we're going to talk about the duties of the secretary. It's the only time we can talk. It's the only time we can talk. So I felt like everyone should know, and that's why we're here.
I know it is a cumbersome format, but it's the way it is. And when I took office, I settled in and dug in and tried to figure out what I could see, and it looked like mistakes had been made and corrected, and we're in good standing with the insurance companies. I've talked to the vendors, and I've established some checks and balances to ensure things like this shouldn't reoccur. We have checklists for our normal monthly recurring payables, and we've got systems in place. We are finally fully staffed for the first time this year, and I'll say over the last 4 weeks, I've been really impressed with the work that gets done in the admin department, and I think we can be confident it won't recur.
I'd like to say something, if I may, Mayor.
Certainly.
Is that appropriate? Ms. Truman is correct in that there was one vendor that did lapse. None of the other ones did, and I think you can prove that, Mayor, by the time you spent with me in my office where we called each individual vendor, and they assured you that nothing did lapse. There were no incurred fees. There were no late fees. Nothing of that sort. So I didn't cost the city any money, thank goodness. Guardian did lapse. It was not canceled, but it did lapse. I missed 2 payments, one in March and one in April. Those were both paid in May. And I verified again with the city finance person to ensure that I was correct, and I am correct in saying that. I will tell you that it's been a difficult year, but again, that's my problem. That's why you all placed me in the position that I am in, and I understand that. You know, when we had an employee that left in December, it left us quite shorthanded, and we were currently shorthanded anyway because we had only one person, Jessica, trying to fulfill the duties of the permits department and the court department, when you can obviously see today from your council packets that we've almost doubled the work in there. So, am I proud of the fact that I let that go? No, I'm not. Was I written up immediately by the current mayor and the past mayor? Yes. Do I think that's fair? Yes. In the 14 years that I've been here, I think I'm a tenured employee, and I think I've proven, I hope I have, I've proven my worth to the residents of Hollywood Park. You know, my mother asked to come here today, and she's sitting in the audience because she often asks me, why are you there till 2 o'clock in the morning? You should be home. And we go and we do something on Saturday and Sunday. I said, I can give you about 10 minutes, Mom, but then I got to go to work today. Now, you may not believe me, but if you were to probably ask some of the police department that work the night shift and the dog watch, they know me very well because I'm here. Now, I'm not saying that because I think I'm the Mother Teresa of Hollywood Park. I am not. But I will tell you I'm human, and I did make a mistake. But as the mayor said, thank God we're fully staffed now. And we're very excited to be able to move ahead and put policies and procedures in place. As you can probably remember from the last audit we had, one of the things that Phil has said from the audit services company that we use was that there needs to be more oversight on certain things. Because I wasn't able to oversee, like for instance, the bank reconciliations. Although Anita does a wonderful job, an excellent job, she's a great employee, it's part of my job to be able to check these things. I haven't been able to do that for the past year because of just trying to keep all the balls in the air. And I know probably most of you in council are too young to remember this, but I'm an old person now. But, you know, remember in the old show that he used to come out as, Ed Sullivan, and there used to be a man that used to come out long ago, and he had like 14 plates, and he was trying to twirl them and keep them all going at the same time. That's what I felt like this past year. I'm trying to keep all the plates twirling, and I missed a plate. Am I proud of it? No. But will it ever happen again? No. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. Any comments?
I would just like to say that I don't see any real problem. Yeah, maybe she made a mistake, but who hasn't? We all make mistakes. Move on and get over it. And, you know, now that we're at full staff, maybe things will be a lot better and a lot easier for her. You know, we're the ones that put these responsibilities on these people, and we need to make sure that we take care of them and make sure we're at full staff. And when they do make mistakes, we support them and move on.
I've got a few questions, if you don't mind. Janice, I was made aware of it last year. 2 payrolls were missed.
2 payrolls where we didn't pay anybody for 2 payrolls?
If the payroll wasn't on time? 2 pay periods weren't on time?
I'm not aware that we've ever missed a payroll
Okay.
for anyone, but I would, if you would give me the dates, I would check in on that.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you, Mr. Villarreal, during that time we did have an employee who was here from October 2016 to December 2017. That employee is no longer here because it's probably within that time frame, and that's one of the reasons that employee is no longer here. And I don't know if you were on the council at that time. Yes, you were. When we decided that she probably shouldn't be here.
Okay, but who oversees payroll?
I oversee payroll.
And it wasn't made on time?
Well, I'd like to know what the dates they were so I could connect on that and
Okay,
check on that.
I'll get you the dates if I
Thank
can. And I got to ask a big question here. What was your involvement with Chris Fell's campaign? Did you assist him anytime during his campaign, during city hours, paid hours?
No, the only thing he told us, not only myself but our entire staff, and we were there together when he did speak to us, was if anybody calls concerning my campaign, give them this gentleman's name and this gentleman's number. And so that's what we did.
So you did not help him with his campaign at all during city hours while you were on the city clock?
Not that I recall. And when you say help him with his campaign, you mean him coming and talking to me about it?
Well, talking to you about it, helping him with flyers, helping him call people.
Oh, no.
Answer any calls for him, messaging, anything like that?
No. Not that I recall, no.
And nobody else did in the staff?
Not to my knowledge, not that I'm aware of.
It was brought to my attention that something like that was going on.
No, as a matter of fact, and you can poll my employees one-on-one to ask them, but I do remember the day that he came in and gave us the name of the gentleman who I think was his campaign manager and said, if anybody calls concerning my campaign, please let me know. As a matter of fact, I found out he was running for office from a resident who is here in the audience right now. That's how I found out he was running. So, no, I was not involved in his campaign.
Well, I was made aware of that, and it was a workers' comp case. Do we do workers' comp? Does somebody in the office know how to file workers' comp claims?
Yes, if you have a workman's comp issue, it has to come to us and we file the report. Now, we are currently with workman's comp through Travelers, and it's a little bit slower process than it was through TML, I will tell you that. For example, we had a police car that was damaged, I probably want to say in December or January, I can't recall. It must have been December because I was January because I was at the election law seminar that I participate in every year. So I had to call Anita to help me with that. And it took much longer than expected. TML is usually much faster. So that's the first hint that we got that Travelers may be a little slower than TML.
Okay. So for the record, you did not help Chris Fels at all during his campaign on
For
city
the
time.
record, for the record, sir, I do not recall helping him at all. Now, he came into my office and talked to me about he was running, but I never sent any flyers out for him. I never went door to door and campaigned for him. Nobody ever called me and I said, you need to vote for Chris Fels because he's doing this, this, and this. I don't recall that at all.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No.
Janice, I'm just curious why you thought you were getting fired.
I've been told that there has been a consensus among the council that because I worked well with Chris Fels, that I was his flunky, minion, whatever you'd like to call it, and that since many of you didn't particularly care for the previous mayor, that I would be asked to leave also.
Whoever's telling you that is not your friend.
Well, and it makes me wonder, Council, I will tell you, because, I understand I was written up, and I understand that we need to discuss it, or you feel a need to discuss it. But, I'm not the only department head that's been written up within the past couple of years, and that included employee theft at that time. But there was no need amongst you all to discuss this in executive session. But this is a need to discuss in an executive session. So I'm wondering, what is it about me that warrants this? I've also heard that council is concerned about my department being a revolving door, that there are so many people coming in and out of my department. Well, in the last 2 years, I have had 2 people that have left in administration, 2 people that have left from court. They've moved on and gotten better jobs. I can't fault somebody for that. But, in other areas, 4 people have left in the past 2 years. In another area, 4 people have left in the last 2 years, but nothing's said about that. So it makes me wonder, what's the situation with me that seems more dire, I guess, than everyone else?
Could I just say that the reason why I asked for the executive session or seconded is because I didn't feel the letter that we got from the past mayor was correct. And I figured the best way to get the information is to go directly to the source. And we can't, like she said, we cannot discuss this amongst everybody. So that's why I thought we can find out really what happened.
I appreciate that. I respect that decision. But my thought would have been that you would have gone to the mayor. Especially, I will say this. I was ambivalent and I've told him about, because, every time I've been through 8 mayors, I believe now, and it's a new process each time. So when Mayor Murphy came on board, of course, you're never sure of how our relationship is going to be. I acquiesce to whatever his standards are, but I was very impressed with the fact that Mayor Murphy comes in and looks at the bills. He helps process them. He's in payroll, punching the numbers. He has full access to everything that we're doing in admin and in court. So it was my thought as a council, if you were concerned about my duties or how I'm doing my duties or lack thereof, that you would go to the mayor and that he would explain it to you. But I stand corrected.
You also pointed out if we make any mistakes right now, it could very well be made by me. No, I think I appreciate this opportunity for everyone to clear the air. And
What did Chris Murphy's letter say? Chris Fels. What was on that letter?
Do you want me to read
Give a
it?
copy.
Let's just not get into that.
Yeah, I don't think you ought to be reading that letter until we determine whether it's public information. I mean, I'm not sure it is.
Can I say something? First of all, nobody is really freaking out. I mean, we're all concerned because Janice has been a trusted, wonderful employee for 14 years, and we've never had this problem. And it is I'm sorry that the mayor kind of slacked off a little bit, but he's ultimately responsible to make sure the bills are paid. And any employee, I'm assuming now that the city pays for the dental and the medical insurance, but anybody that goes to the doctor, if they got a brain in their head, they'll ask them, do you take my insurance? And if the doctor says no, you find another doctor that does. And I don't think that should be put on her. I mean, she can't please everybody.
Well, I'm not sorry that I requested that we discuss it. I think it's important. And it was serious. I mean, having insurance lapse is serious, but it's nothing personal against you. And the reason why I asked for the executive session was so we just could discuss it. That's it. And I haven't requested anyone else because I don't even know about the incidents you're talking about. And so it is nothing personal. I told you in May and I told you yesterday. This is not about trying to get you terminated. I gave you my word I wasn't trying to get you terminated, yet people are, calling going, oh, you're going to terminate Janice. And it's like, you knew I wasn't going to terminate you. I told you that. I simply wanted to discuss it. And I don't apologize for that because it was serious. And it wasn't like they didn't take their insurance. It was like the insurance was canceled. So I mean, it is serious. It was serious, and that's why I felt we needed to discuss it. I don't apologize for that. I'm sorry that it caused you angst because you thought you were going to get terminated. But I told you all along that was not the point of it.
Actually, I want to just say it didn't cause me angst because I've said to every mayor that I've ever had since I started here, if there's ever a time that you feel that I am not up to Hollywood Park standards, just let me know. That's all you have to do. Because I want to do what's best for the city. When I'm not serving the residents, when you all think I need to go, someone just needs to come into my office and say, it's time for you to go.
Well, that time is not now, Janice.
It felt like it, Ms. Truman. I'm going to tell you, it felt like it.
I think being in the trenches and seeing what goes on, I'm very impressed with the amount of work, and I really have a lot of respect for everyone in this town. And I hope we can just all look confidently forward and keep moving ahead and get through this. And it's a rough patch, but it's over, and we've got a lot of good work to be done. All right. Other comments before I convene? All right. It's 9:03. Council meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.